you for joining for today's webinar titled Success Mantra for an Interview. My name is Kalyani Fender, representative from Placement Department of MIT Distance Education. Today we have with us Mr. Milind Zadav, Talent Management Head at Sama Technologies. He has more than 15 years of experience in talent acquisition in IT industry. He is currently heading the resource management of Sama Technologies. His major expertise is into US recruitment, domestic recruitment, vendor management, client relationship and talent management. I hope this webinar will definitely help you get more insights on how to succeed in a virtual interview and all the related tips and techniques. I welcome Mr. Milind Zadav and request him to take this forward.
Thanks a lot, Kalyani, and thanks a lot MIT School for arranging this session. And I hope this particular session will be helpful for all the students. Good morning, all. It's my privilege to be here at this particular forum and to share my experience, share my thoughts, and how it can be helpful for you to crack the virtual interview or any other interview which you will be facing. As I had heard that most of the students attending this particular session are experienced people, so most of the points you may already know, but this particular presentation, what I'm going to give is generic, and it will be for all. It will be for the freshers who will and are planning to get into an IT or any other industry, or who are experienced. There may be some insights which may be helpful for you all guys. So preferably I would like to have this particular session to be very interactive, because this particular 1.5 hours will be very fruitful for you, I believe. And the intention of this particular session, so why normally I conduct these kind of sessions, is to bridge the gap between the expectations of the organizations and the expectations students have from the organization. So let's make it very fruitful, let's make it very interactive. The more questions, I will be very happy to answer most of them. So let me start with the presentation. So this particular presentation is very generic, very common points which I have covered, so that if you have, or if your mind triggers any questions, maybe after 30 minutes you can start asking me on a very particular point. So in the start, I would like to just let you know what normally human resource management and strategy is, particularly for the recruitment as well as other HR functions. Next. So what are the major functions of HRM? So HRM is human resource management. So some company called is HR, some company called HRM, some company calls HCM. HCM is human capital management. So these are all same terms. So these are some basic functionalities what this particular department does. Staffing, training and development, payroll, handling grievances, attendance, events, talent acquisition, motivational activities. Staffing means whenever talent acquisition team or the recruitment team for a particular organization goes to a particular vendors for particular resources. So there are some vendors or staffing agencies who provide resources to a particular organization for the particular project or for a particular duration. That is called as staffing. Training and development, you might be aware, there are a lot of trainings which are conducted by organizations. A lot of grooming plans organizations these days have, because as you all are aware, IT industry is very fluctuating. Every day there's a new tool technologies coming in the market, and they have to upgrade themselves every day, every month, every week, so that they are on top of it and they can deliver the project properly. Payroll is definitely payroll, salaries, handling grievances. Any employee, they have any issues with something, any policy issue, any manager issue, any other behavioral issues, they can go ahead and come to HR and sort it out. So HR is always there as a support function. HR is considered to be the bridge between the management and the resources. So handling grievances is one of the major activity which an HR does. Attendance, of course, daily attendance. events, a lot of events which happens within the organization, like any festival events or any other particular events. This keeps the momentum on of the resources, because normally they are in a pressure to deliver the projects. They have a lot of work. They have been working very hard. So HR comes in the picture and dissolves that particular stress and comes up with some events where there's a casual and leverage given to all the resources to change the mindset and free themselves from the work for some time. Talent acquisition means recruitment team, of course, to whenever there's a demand of any resource from a particular management or from particular projects, then it comes to the recruitment team, and then the recruitment team goes in the market, tries to source suitable candidates and get them in the organization. Motivational activities, a lot of motivational activities which an HR team does, so keep the momentum on again and keep motivating employees to do their best. Next. So generic, this is a very generic selection criteria or normally recruitment team does. So for fresher hiring, especially for group discussions, tests, exams, technical interviews, second level interview is normally done after the first level interview, which is more of a technical. So technical interview, first round is more on the basic side. Second level technical interview is more on hands-on and to check in depth how much the resource knows. Or there's always a client interview wherever client says, and even we would like to interview the resources. So there's a client interview, then there's an HR interview where you can ask some questions to the HR team about the organization, about the growth path, about the salary, about any bond and agreement is there or not, what is the benefits they will be getting if they join this particular organization. So these are the basic generic selection criteria what they have. According to the companies, the selection criteria may change. Next. So there are some positive attributes whenever we go for an interview. We are very scared or we are nervous, and we are skeptical. We go sometimes with a mindset that what will happen, we don't know what kind of questions they'll ask, etc., etc. So always do remember that HR function is there to offer you a job. They're not there to reject you, actually. And if you've reached the HR round, it's most of the time it's like you have been selected for that particular position, and you're really capable enough. But at the same time, HR goes and evaluates you, your background, your attitude, your behavioral. Would you be suitable for the company culture? So the way every house or every home has one culture, same way every organization has their own culture. So they're built upon some culture. So the fitment is checked by the HCM team. So there are ample of positions in the market if you're really capable enough. So if you're really good, I always say I've done too many HR rounds in my life and in my experience, and I always say that if you're rejected for any particular position, it doesn't mean that you're not good. It just means that you're not suitable for that particular position, maybe at that particular time. Maybe the expectations are different and your expectations are different, and sometimes it doesn't match. So it doesn't mean that you're good or you're not good, or you need to. But yeah, definitely you can, whenever any interview is done, you can ask the interviewer any area of improvement they feel like, and then you can go ahead and analyze whether that points are logical, not logical, and you can work on that. If you feel like, yeah, this is the area where I feel I really need to work upon, and this particular question answer I was not able to give properly the way I ideally should, then you really need to work upon. So interview is always an evaluation parameter where you evaluate yourself, the other person evaluates you, and it's an improvement area. If you're technically sound, any technology you're working, IT or any other technologies you have, if you're really hands-on that and you really knows the basic, and you have really worked hard on the programming part, learned a lot, explored a lot, then sky is the limit for your growth. I mean, there's no, so these days, preferably the need of the hour is most important for the organization. Normally, they do not go into different other criterias. Maybe in the future there may not be very educational criteria, very selective. It really matters that do you really know the stuff what for which you have been interviewed for. Yeah, there's always a next chance. You can definitely go ahead and improve yourself wherever you feel lacking. And there are too many opportunities in the market. It's a very customer centric market right now, and there are ample of space, ample of room for good guys who are hands-on, who has good communication skills, who really has very good growth aspirations. So these are some positive attributes whenever you are going for an interview or applying for a job. Next. So there are some tricky questions which are asked by the panels, or preferably from the HR side. Tell me something about yourself, and tell me something about your strengths and weaknesses. So tell me something about yourself is one very tricky question. It seems to be very simple question, but preferably this is the first question which is asked by the HR person or any other person. And whenever you start speaking about yourself, that is the time where we feel like whether that guy is really uh, good enough for that particular position or not. So you really need to properly draft these particular answers. How you start, how do you end, what kind of content do you cover in this particular topic. And this is very important, and it should be short and crisp, not very lengthy, but it should not be very short. It should be within that limit, and this is most of the time deciding factor. Your strengths and weaknesses, normally these are very generic answers what we receive from all the resources, that I'm very hardworking is my strength and I'm very emotional, that is my weakness. It's a very typical generic answer. But if you don't do the rata borrowing, and if you really genuinely tell the panel saying that these are really my strengths and these are my weaknesses, that would be really appreciated. Salary, after end of the interview, HR interview, they always demand that what kind of salary are you expecting, and what kind of compensation you are expecting. So this is also a tricky answer. Whatever you feel like, whatever you feel you deserve, you can definitely ask that. Normally for generic campus interviews, the salary is already mentioned to the TPOs, or in the job description it is already mentioned. But this is one of the tricky point. You can definitely mention, and if it is negotiable, you can just mention it is negotiable too. Whenever it's a first job, a salary is important, but at the same time, what kind of project you're getting, what kind of work you're getting, what kind of platform you are getting is the most important key, because that is the base of your career, and that is from where you will go ahead and start. So what kind of exposure, what kind of learning you're getting is the most important in your first job, preferably. Yeah, they will definitely ask if there is any bond or agreement. So bond on agreement is normally taken by the organization, because they put in a lot of efforts to groom you, to train you in particular skill technology, because it's not necessary that whatever you learn in the college will be used within the organization. There will be definitely new tools coming in, and there will be some tools which are specifically used by that particular company, and they will be putting a lot of efforts, time on that particular resource to groom them. And to groom them, they're putting investing them on them. So whenever they are investing them, they will definitely ask something in return, and bond and agreement is one part of it. The duration may change. Some companies may ask you for 1 year, some companies may ask for 2 years, some companies may ask you 3 years. But based on your own inclination, based on your own thought process, you can agree to it, not agree to it. But I would suggest that you definitely get more clarity from the HR person, whenever any kind of terms are used like bond and agreement at the time of offering you a job. So you really need to take more clarity, take your time, tell the HR person that I need 1 or 2 days to think about it, and then I'll come back to you. And then you can discuss with your family, friends, whoever it is, and then you can confirm back. But if you confirm back, then don't back out from that particular decision. Give a good thought and then go ahead with that. Companies also will ask you about the travel and relocation. Are you really comfortable to travel? The travel may be within India, out of India, within India, there may be different states. Relocation, there are some companies who deploy you to their client side, which may not be particularly in the city wherever you are staying right now. It may be in another city. So are you really comfortable to relocate? If yes, what is the duration of relocation, etc.? You should definitely ask these questions, and based on your personal matters, you can take a call. Shifts, there are definitely different shifts in which, especially in IT organization or any manufacturing organization works. There are rotational shifts, there are continuous shifts, specifically night shifts, because most of the IT companies works with US, and sometimes we have to support their timings. So of course, so we need to work in the nights. And are you really comfortable with that or not? So different other facilities are given by the organizations whenever they're working in night shifts, like night shifts allowances, dinner facility, cab facility, etc. Like in our organization, we give them dinner, free dinner, we give them cab door to door, we give them different other allowances, especially for the night shift allowances on top of their salary. So these are different questions if you're really comfortable to do shifts or not. Technology switch is the most important thing in IT company. Like I mentioned before also, that new technologies keep coming up. So how much you're comfortable? There are some employees which are restricted and say, no, I just want to work 2-3 technologies. And there are some resources who are ready to learn. So in our organization, as per my experience, we have resources who have been working with us for 5 to 10 years, and that started as freshers, and now they are expertise into most of the technologies, maybe more than 10. And they are like now, one of the most demanding resources within the organization. And the more skills you have, the more growth possibilities you have. So these are some tricky questions. If you do have any questions, you can ask me maybe after some time, but uh, these are some questions which are very tricky, and it can decide yes, no, maybe in the HR interview. So based on your capability, based on your comfortability, you can go ahead and say yes or no for any other points which are mentioned over here. So there are different the domestic recruitment normally means India recruitment, and there is a concept called as UK recruitment, there is US recruitment, there is you know Singapore or that area, that recruitment. So different recruitment process has different other policies, payment terms, etc. So in India recruitment, most of the time, these are the positions that we have: full-time positions where you are hired as a full-time employee, contractual positions where you are hired as a contractor. It can be through a vendor, it can be a direct contractor, which is directly payroll of the organization, but on a contractual role. Staffing position means you have been deployed from a staffing organization. Internship, you all know, fresher hiring, campus recruitment. So every position has a different other payment terms and different other benefits and policies. It's not necessary that contractual positions will have same benefits as a full-time employee. Full-time employee will have most of the benefits because they are directly on the payroll of the organization as a full-time. Contractual direct contractor may have some benefits but not all. Staffing will be most, the parent company will give them the benefits. Internship, you are all aware, it's 3 months, 6 months. Fresher hiring and campus recruitment. So this is particular side where there's a fixed CTC for all the resources and fixed benefits for all the resources. Next. So what is the recruitment process normally any company has? So this is particular point where whenever any new project is coming or the existing project is getting extended, then there is a demand of a resource from the particular project manager or the manager saying that I need a particular resource on these particular skills and technology. So could you please go ahead and hire? So it goes for an approval to the management that management decides whether we want to really hire new resource or not, because that is considered to be one of the cost. And then if it is approved from the management, it comes to the talent management team, where talent management team decides whether they want to hire from outside or they want to hire from inside. Outside means the external market, and inside means within the resources, do we have any suitable person who can go ahead and join the project. And then it goes for the recruitment or the talent management approval, and after approval it is allocated to a particular recruiter. And when a recruiter finds a resource who is suitable for that particular requirement, and whenever the offer is about to release, then it goes again to the management. And then when management approves the offer letter, then the offer letter is released to the particular resource. Next. So these are some different processes through we hire from the external market, that is job posting. You all are aware there are different the job portals on which the recruitment team goes and posts the requirement. It can be LinkedIn, it can be Naukri, it can be Indeed, Monster, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere. I mean, any social media. There are too many social medias now on which recruitment goes ahead and posts the requirements. Then we start sourcing the resource from different portals. Social media postings are done. Employee referrals are done within the organization. If we float the requirement, and if they have any references, friends, relatives who they seems to be suitable for that particular position, we get the resume. And of course, mass mailing, we do a lot of mass mailing to all the prospect people who are looking out for a job. And then we arrange a database. So basically we have a database where we collect most of the resumes, and then the screening part is done. And after screening, the recruitment starts calling the particular resources. Next. So these are some portals on which we go ahead and do the job postings. Naukri, Monster, free job portals like Indeed, Shine, etc. Social media like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, employee referral I've mentioned already. Career website, every company has their own website, and on that website there's always a career page. In that career page, you can go ahead and see a lot of job openings, whatever openings are there in that particular organization. Then there are career fairs, recruitment fairs, where we are invited as an organization to come to that particular fair and attend that fair, where it's an open house where all the resources of students comes and they can go ahead and apply to a particular organization. Next. So this is the screening process. It was screening the resumes, in which we normally check on the resume, the education, the percentage they've got in the particular education, then which all companies they have worked, what was the duration they had worked in that particular organization, how frequently the the employee changes the organization, what did that particular resource did in that particular company, what all did they learn, what all achievements they had in that particular company. Then what new technology or anything new did they learn, or was it very monotonous? These are some very basic thing a recruiter checks in the resume. So normally it is the way it is checked is when did they passed out, then when did they join the organization, what was the duration they worked in that particular organization, then they jumped, then why did they jump from that organization to another organization. So we check. Normally 2 to 3 years is a good time where you, in an IT company especially, that yeah, you are staying in that organization. If the resource is jumping every 6 months to 1 year from the organization, it goes a bit in a negative zone. Then there is a call done by the recruiter where they check on the communication part, they check on the technical skills, they check on the experience, they check on the suitabilities according to the requirements. They're checking basic criteria, what is the CTC, what is the expected CTC, notice period, etc. And of course the salary what they're expecting. So this is the basic screening call a recruiter does, and then if they feel good, then they go ahead and schedule the interviews. Yeah, next. Yeah, so I just explained screening by recruiter. Then after that, there's a technical interview. I've already mentioned what the technical interview is. Then level 2 technical interview or a managerial round. Then the client or on-site interviews, then HR interviews, face-to-face, video call. So this is a very important these days. Earlier it used to be, of course, before COVID, it used to be face-to-face rounds, especially for the client round and HR interviews, because we want to meet the resource face-to-face. But these days everything happens on the virtual interview, which we will be coming in the next slide. Next. So coming to the basic topic for which we have this particular session, virtual interview. So we all know what virtual interview is. Just for the information, I've put in this this line that it's use of any medium of the technology to conduct the interview online with video technology to allow the discussion to take place remotely rather than meeting face to face. Of course, we all are aware about this particular slide. Next slide, please. So what are so this is a new trend and this new era where everything is virtual. I mean, our meetings are virtual, our discussions are virtual, our coordination is virtual now, and the interviews are also virtual. So what are the different basic etiquettes whenever any panel takes the interview? So the first thing what I could recollect, people normally have very fancy email IDs. Okay, it doesn't look good when we are applying for a position or for a particular professional life. We need to have a very simple and good username or email IDs. Whenever we are in college, at that time we normally have very fancy email IDs, which is fine in that particular period of time. But whenever you want to get into a professional era, you need to have simple username or email ID. This is the first impression normally in a virtual world now creates. It's very small thing, but it is important. So I mean, my suggestion would be if any of you have any fancy kind of email ID, please do change, create a new email ID with your first name, last name, or put some numeric number or any other number, signs, and then create a simple professional kind of an email ID. Then of course you have to test your technology, like test your equipment, your internet connection, web camera, microphone. Unfortunately, everything is fine. Sometimes something will happen, and there may be some problems coming in, but it is always better to check whether you are well equipped, everything is properly connected or not, everything is properly working or not. Sometimes so normally what happens is whenever the interviewer who is taking the interview pulls out a particular time for the interview, okay, he has tons of on his plate, but he has to deliver projects, he has meetings, but he pulls out that particular 1-2 hours for the interview. And if something doesn't happen, the resource doesn't join on time, or there is a problem, his camera is not working, he's struggling on that, his microphone is not working, or some internet is very fluctuating, internet is not proper, then it creates not good impression on the panel. So please do definitely test your technology before you are applying or going for any virtual interview. So dress for success. I've seen resources dressing up very casually in the virtual interview. Ideally, it doesn't give a very good impression. Let it be a technically very strong, maybe a very intelligent person, but dressing definitely makes very a big impact. And preferably you should wear formal dressing. Preferably you should wear the way you are actually going for an interview. So dressing, makes a big time difference. You should not wear. I've seen interviews where people are wearing very fancy kind of t-shirts or shirts. The background is not good and it's not decent. So ideally, it should not be. I mean, for a guy, it should be properly clean shaved, well hair. If a female is there, should wear formal dresses. It really creates a very good impression. So and you should have a very decent background. If you have a messy background, that also creates. As always, everybody says, right? First impression is the last impression. So these are some basic things which you already may be aware. I mean, maybe you already know, but I just wanted to reiterate on this, that these are some basic facts which people forget or take it very casually, but this definitely can impact on the interview. Next. So your body language, I've seen interviews where they're not sitting properly, they do not smile at all. That's very boring sometimes. Then you have to keep the camera at the eye level. Normally I've seen people, they do not look at the camera, and they do not they look left, or they look right, or they look up or down, or they look at the keyboard most of the times. So that doesn't normally gives a very good impression. And that's a basic etiquette. You have to sit straight, you have to keep a basic smile at least on your face, that you're actually enjoying the interview or not. And you have to keep the camera, your eye at the camera. Okay. And rid yourself of the distractions, like most of the phones are normally ringing, or the TV sound is there, or any music system or any other sounds. So that this really distracts the panel, distracts the interviewee, and it breaks the zone, it breaks the interview. And this can be a destructive and not very good sign at the time of especially virtual interviews. Yeah, I mean, this is very important, where we have to log in 5-10 minutes before the interview or any particular discussion is scheduled. This always gives an impression that you're very keen about that particular project or that particular company, and you're serious about it. If you're not, then if you're late, then and if you keep someone waiting, that really gives a very negative impression on everyone. This is also a very basic thing which normally people are not aware with it. Even within the organization, we have to keep them prepped that whenever you're not speaking, it's always better to keep yourself on mute. So sometimes people forget that they're not on mute, and they start speaking. Some phone comes, or someone comes from the family member and talks. So that doesn't actually look good. So keep yourself on the mute whenever not needed. Whenever needed, when you wish you want to talk, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and then speak. Next. So these are some evaluations which are normally done at the time of virtual interview. It's the same the way we do it in the face-to-face, but at this particular time, when there are some tools like Zoom, where they can go ahead and access your system, and they can give you some test cases or some assignments, some coding program, where you can go ahead and virtually at the time of interview, you can go ahead and let them know that this is what the particular program is executed, or you can complete that assignment. They can ask you for some solutions to the problem statement. They can go ahead and share the screen and go ahead and give you some problem statements, that this is what the problem statement is, and what do you think about what kind of solutions do you have for that particular problem. So these are some basic interview evaluation done by the technical panels. I am not a technical person, so I really cannot tell you about the technical codes, but coding, test cases, and assignments are the basic thing where in the virtual interview it will be assigned. There may be some assignments which maybe you have to submit after one day or after the interview, but there may be some assignments which you have to complete within that particular interview, and you have to prove that you are the one who is giving an interview. Because virtual interview, as you're not there face to face, we don't know, so you have to switch on the camera and then you have to virtually complete the assignment. So it's sure for the interviewing panel that you are the one who is actually solving it and not any other person. Then tests and other evaluation parameters are there. Then I told you the other parameters on basic side, but from the technical part there may be some basic questions. There may be some online tests in which the screen is shared, and you can go ahead and attempt for that particular test, and the results is announced in some time or later or immediately. But it totally depends on the interviewing panel what kind of evaluation he wants to do or what level he wants to do. Next. So yeah, most of the points I've already covered. It may be very generic, it may be very helpful insights for you guys, or maybe reiterating some points which you may have forgot. So I have tried to cover most of the points which I could. I would be very happy with the questions, as we are 11:38 now, and I would be very happy with some questions coming in where we can answer and most of the queries. So what is the difference between talent acquisition and recruitment? Shalini Anand. Okay, Shalini Anand, talent acquisition and recruitment is same. It's the same. It's just a different terminology what is used by different other organizations, but talent acquisition and recruitment is same. Admin is a part of HR or it is different function? Sheetal, considered to be, it's in support function. It is not preferably a part of HR. But in some organizations it is part of HR, because admin and facilities is one different other department. So talent acquisition is like one different other department. HCM function, a core HCM or a HCM BP, these all things are comes as a different department, but preferably admin is considered to be a bit sub part of HR function. I can answer that. Admin or facilities. It is often said that if a person is trainable, he or she would be selected. How much is that statement correct? Okay. Is it often said that a person is trainable, he or she would be selected? Trainable, that's a very wide question. Basically, what we actually look out for is the learning curve. Okay. If the resource is ready and flexible to learn new technologies or get into a new role, that person is preferably selected. If you do not have too many of restrictions in your mindset or career, that I want to do only this or I want to do only that, you may not be selected, you may be selected. But we always as an HR would like to prefer people who are ready to work in any shifts, who are ready to get into a new technology or new role. It's not only about software engineer that the guy comes and does coding. Okay, IT is very vast field where IT, there are business analysts, there's a PMP role, there are technical analysts. These are different other roles where there's no much of coding, but at the same time it's pre-sales. These are not much of coding, but at least basic level of technology you should be aware of. So if we get these kind of people, there are always selected. Many a times we have heard or read that you should be diplomatic while answering the questions, interview questions. So what is your opinion? Should we be honest or diplomatic? Okay. You should be honest. You should not be preferably diplomatic. Okay. You can definitely, honestly, you can tell them that this is what I know, this is what I don't know, but I'm ready to learn that. But if you go very diplomatic, the HR person or technical person will definitely identify that you're a very diplomatic person. A diplomatic person, you really cannot rely a lot on the diplomatic person, but you can rely on an honest person. Okay, so I would always be that you should be honest. Whatever you've heard and from wherever you have heard, I'm not very sure from where, but ideally my answer should be you should be honest. Honest people are all, there is a guy, let's take an example. I have two guys with me, and one guy is very diplomatic. He's saying yes to all my questions, and he'll say yes sir, I'll do this, I'll do that. And I have an honest person where he say, I don't know, but I'm willing to give it a shot. But honestly, I really don't know this. I will always prefer this honest person and not a very diplomatic person. Hi, I would like to ask that Shine Job Portal is genuine or fraud? No, it's a genuine site. It's not a fraud. Could you guide on salary negotiations? Most of the time we are afraid to negotiate, or maybe we are not empowered enough to do so. Please guide. Okay. You are definitely empowered. It's the way. Okay. In the first slide, intentionally I had put that positive attributes. Okay. Because normally we go with a very nervous mindset, or we don't go with a negative mindset. So you have that power to ask questions. Of course, there's a proper time to ask the questions. You cannot interrupt the panel in between and ask the questions. Let the interview get finished, and then you can go ahead and ask the questions, whatever relevant questions you want to ask. On the salary negotiations, this for freshers, I've mentioned that most of the time salary is already told to the TPOs and the coordinators that this is what the salary will be offered to these people, or there's always a range which is provided. But if you're really looking out for that particular role, and you feel like that is not justifying to the salary, what they are offering is not justifying to your capability, you may ask that you may ask the HR person that, is there any possibility? Yes, I'm ready to maybe get ahead with this particular role on this particular salary, but what is the appraisal process you have? Maybe next year, what will be my salary? Any approximate numbers you have? This is how you should ideally go ahead and check with the HR person if you're really not very comfortable. Salary negotiation is very tricky. Salary negotiation is very is always uh, in benefit of both the parties. Ideally, it should be a win-win situation. You're happy to join that particular organization on that particular salary, and that HR person is happy to get you in as a resource in that particular salary which is offering. So you can definitely, if you're not happy, you can go ahead and definitely check. If not now, then what are the growth aspirations, as well as I'm ready to give my 100%. But then what is in next year appraisals, will I be, what percentage my salary will be increased? So this is how ideally you should do a salary negotiations. But again, I would say that the first job is more about the role what you are getting, the kind of work you'll be getting, the kind of tools, technologies you will be working on, and salary can be on the second priority, especially for the first job. Then second, third job, you have ample of time to get into good salaries. I'm working as a software developer. Okay, I have taken up this course in management to move to management side in the near future. Okay, now when I would go for an interview from a management position, I will be new to it, and as I have technical work experience, so what the organization would expect from me, how must I prepare for such interviews? Any points in specific? Okay, so you're a software developer, you want to get into a management. So ideally, I am really not sure what kind of experience you have as a software developer, but you should be very particular with the job description they had provided with you. And whenever you see, currently in any organization, they are not looking out for the only technical people, or they are not looking only for a functional guy who is a PMO or a people management kind of a person. Ideally, they're looking out for a mix of both qualities. Okay, so this can be a very good idea. This particular forum can be a very good idea, that you already have a technical knowledge and you have already learning project management or a management thing, and that can be a mix of both. It will be very easy for you to pick, because you already know the basics, you already know the technical areas, and you already know and you have worked already as a technical guy. It would be very easy. So whenever any questions like that will come, or the expectations would be that it will not be only a people management role where you're doing only management. It will be the expectations from any organization will be, it will be mix of both. Are you ready for that or not? If you are ready, then there you have a very good chance to get that particular position. But only people management will not help. You have to have mix of both the profiles. I hope I've answered your question in specific. What is the ideal answer for the question, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Okay, so ideal answer should be, ideally you know what are your strengths and your weaknesses, but it should not be very generic. Like I mentioned in the presentation that, strengths, I'm very hardworking. I do not leave until my job is done, until I complete my work which is already in my hand. This is my strength. And I'm very emotional. Then I get very hurt very easily, and I immediately rely on other person. These are very, very generic weaknesses what any HR interview we have. What are your actual strengths and weakness? Okay, very good question. Whenever you say about your weakness, okay, let's say I will say I'm very I rely to people very easily. Okay, so your next answer should be that how you are overcoming that particular weakness. So that gives you a very positive side. Okay, that let's say I'm very easily rely on other person. Then I will say, okay, but now what am I doing is I'm evaluating that person, I'm judging that person for a while, and then I start trusting. So that, and this is how I'm trying to improve on my weakness, this is how I'm trying to improve and overcome on my weakness. So whenever you say about weakness, then you should add in that this is what I'm working, this is what I have done, and this is what I'm planning to overcome this particular weakness. Because that is how the, you climb up the ladder. Or any successful person, they had weaknesses. In the world there is no person that they do not have any weakness. Everyone has some or other weaknesses. But the most important point is, how do you overcome about the weakness? The HR person is very intelligent. That person is asking about your weakness. They just want to understand what your weak points are. But you have to answer it in a way that this is what my weakness is, but I'm overcoming like this. Let's say my English is not good. I'm not very fluent in my English, but this is what I'm doing too. I'm reading newspapers. I'm watching English thing. I talk to my friends in only in English and ask them how do I improve? Was my pronunciations correct or not? This is how I'm improving my weaknesses. This is how should your answer be. What is the ideal answer for the question, what has motivated you to apply for this particular current job? Okay, very good question. So whenever you go for an interview, first you always go ahead and check about the website of that organization. What do they do? How big is that organization? What kind of clients they have? What all technologies do they work? How many offices they have within India, out of India? How many employee organization it is, when it was established, etc., etc. Basic thing. So that, gives that panel saying that, oh, okay, he has done some homework before coming for an interview. Sometimes, most of the times, we get an answer, and he said, time nahi mila, I was very busy, I directly come here for an interview. That gives very lethargic attitude of that particular person. But if you have done, and ideally you should be motivated to look at the job description, because normally the job description is in detail normally. But when you look at a job description, is it really appealing you, or you're just going there for an interview for the sake of going? You cannot take the motivation just like that. It should be coming from inside, that particular motivation, right? So you should be actually motivated first, and you should definitely do some background check of that particular organization, which is very impressive point whenever you're giving an interview. How to follow up for the complete interviews? You might have some recruiter's name or some email IDs. You can definitely go ahead and follow up on that particular interviews if you do not receive. So okay, there's a very basic thing. Let's say there are 100 people who are applying for a particular job. Recruiter doesn't have that much of time to tell you 98 people that your boss, you have been rejected. If you do not receive anything for a week from them, understand that you have been rejected. If you're selected, they will give you a call. But if you're not selected, they may not give you a call, because there are tons of resumes which are coming in every day. There are interviews. But you should always go ahead and understand. But you can definitely go ahead and follow up. That you can follow up once, twice, thrice. If there is no answer, understand that you might have got rejected. Is it necessary to change resume pattern according to position you apply for? Yeah, sometimes yes. You have to change your resume according to the job description you have. You have to modify your resume according to the job description they're looking out for. Your job description and your resume, if both of them are totally different, your resume may not get selected. So yeah, you have to change your resume pattern according to the position you apply. My company is closing operations in India. What should I reply to the interviewer in such case? If they ask me why am I looking out for a change? Yeah, you can go ahead and tell them that this is what the actual reason is. My company is closing down. My company is shifting. My company has been acquired by someone and we have been laid or whatever. So there's no harm in telling whatever the truth is. You don't need to lie on that particular stuff. If you have even taken a break, and if you have a gap of 6 months, 4 months, 3 months, whatever it is, you can go ahead and tell them that this is for the genuine reason I had taken a break. Ideally, it should be a genuine reason. Please tell some do's and don'ts for freshers. Okay. So this is very elaborative, vast question, do's and don'ts. The first thing what you should do ideally is you should keep learning and keep improving on the technology you are going ahead. Second thing, you should go ahead and learn on the communication skills, especially English skills, where written and oral communications are very, very important for the freshers. This will definitely help you to get any job. Go ahead and have uh, uh, general knowledge, current scenarios, current booming technologies, what is happening in India, what is the boom IT market going. Read these stuffs. All these stuffs will be helping you in the group discussions, in the interviews, where you feel like I'm well equipped, I'm well informed for the IT industry where I want to get into. These are some don'ts. So prepare yourself, learn, do coding, give mock interviews, demo interviews, doesn't matter. Learn. That is most important thing. Don't waste your time. This is the time where, you have already had your good time in schools or colleges. Maybe this is the time where you have to build up your career. Understand, for freshers is a huge competition. Okay, I go ahead and open one position for a fresher for Java, .NET, C, whatever. I get thousands of applications. Okay, so this kind of competition we have already within our industry or within the market. So how you can be different from the other 1,000 people? On that mindset you have to think and work upon. What's the most important role between HR recruiter and technical recruiter? In case if technical recruiter is clear and HR interview hasn't gone up to the expectations, how to handle this kind of a situation? Okay. So important role between HR recruiter and technical recruiter. HR recruiter, technical recruiter is almost same. Okay. Technical interview if you want to mean, and HR interview. So HR interview is always about the non-technical areas, communication, background, your learning curve, your flexibility for the terms and technologies, etc. So HR interview you really can crack. Technical interview you have to be technically very sound to crack that particular interview. If your technical interview is done but HR interview did not go that well, but HR interview is always the last. Okay, so if it didn't go well and they've already rejected you, you really can't do anything. But you have to really prepare yourself the same way the way you're preparing for a technical interview. In Google, you will be getting a lot of questions, maybe YouTube, you will be getting how to answer HR interviews. Technically, you already know maybe. If the organization has laid off due to COVID-19 situation, then shall we tell the HR accordingly at the time of interview? Yeah, you can go ahead and tell the HR interview, HR panel saying that this is what has happened and these many resources were released because of COVID-19, and they will definitely understand. Don't try to run around the bush. That creates a very bad impression. And if the HR interview panel understands that this particular guy is trying to, is also taking me for a round, then it doesn't create a very good impression. Whatever happened. I mean, that's fine. I mean, what you want to do is most important stuff rather than what already happened. Okay, so look at the future. What happened. You don't need to lie and you don't need to goof up around, because when you join the organ for the sake of joining, you will lie maybe, or you will hide. But when you actually join, then you will be definitely talking to people, and then every time you cannot lie. And as the people around you are also well informed about all the different other organizations, and they'll come to know that while joining this organization you had lied, then you will never be able to cover up that particular moment. So it's always better, whatever happened. You can go ahead and
To thank you, Milind sir, for such an insightful session and sharing your perspective with us. We are really privileged to have you today. And I also thank everyone for joining the webinar. We really appreciate you all being here, and we shall see you next time. So I declare the webinar is over here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And it was really nice interacting with everyone here. Thank you so much. I hope it was helpful. Thank you.